thinking, and I started playing. It actually took me a day or two to figure this trick out. But check this out. So let's say you're at a kiosk and you find a way of getting to Google. You click a link and you get to Google. How do you go to iKAT from Google? So firstly, look on the page. You find an I. You select the I. You drag it into the search box. You release the I. You find a K. You drag it. You select it. You see how it goes. This process, this is easier than it actually was, because doing this with your finger on a touch screen is really, really tricky. But this basically proved to the guy, he said, oh, you don't got a keyboard, but oh, actually it is hackable, because Windows supports basically a virtual keyboard through the mouse, which made that possible. And yeah, I Googled for iKAT, third hit down, iKAT. Okay, let's hack some kiosks. First kiosk we're going to hack today is called KioWare. It's used in airports and hotels around the world. There was actually a new version of KioWare released last week. And this new version very sneakily fixed all of my exploits, all of my tricks, and all of my bugs. So maybe kiosk vendors are listening, but this is on the slightly older version. Well, the last version. Let's just start up my virtual machine. So I just down a question. Do you get many kiosks around here in Belgium? I always keep an eye out. No, not many. Yeah, they're really big in Asia. Not so big in Europe. But still, I've seen some at train stations. I saw some in Holland in train stations. Alrighty, let's full screen. Okay. So you can see we've got standard Windows here, logged on as a kiosk user. This is an operating system configured as per KioWare's security best practice, so i.e. what they recommend. Go run up KioWare. You can see everything disappears. I'm now secured. Okay. And it sent me to iKAT. Okay, first thing iKAT's done is it said, hey, you're using Windows, and it sent me to iKAT for Windows. I'm going to look at what are some of the installed applications on this kiosk. Okay, it's told me I'm running KioWare Basic. I've got the .NET framework installed, and I've got Windows Media Player 11 installed. This is pretty handy because this tells me what my attack vectors are. I know that I can start exploiting this kiosk through .NET. So let's have a look down here. Let's see if I can get a common dialog to pop up. If I can get a common dialog, I might be able to spawn cmd.exe. I see when I click the file open browse dialog, nothing happens. This is part of the kiosk. It's blocking me from accessing a common dialog. That's pretty sneaky. What about spawning a URI handler? So I'm going to click this link, and this is going to try and spawn all of the different URI handlers that are available to Windows, and we'll just see what happens, like HCP and LDAP. Alright, so that pops up, that pops up. Oh look, I got the real start bar back. That pops up. So now, well, yeah, now I win. Now I got shell. That was easy. I can do this using command prompt. Oh Jesus. Ready. I have no idea how to use the command prompt. Please show me using command prompt. Now this is a particularly useful trick because I'm only using the left mouse button here. Now this is useful because most kiosks don't actually have a right mouse button. This is their security restriction. They say, oh, you know, like I don't want you to right click a file and pop shell, so I'm only going to give you a left mouse button. But with the left mouse button, I can also pop shell. So that's too easy. Okay, so what else can I do with this? It told me that I had .NET installed. Let's try some of my .NET tools. Let's try what I call my application executor. I'll try and run this. Can I spawn .NET? Verifying application requirements. JavaScript error. Hey. All right. Gives shells. Shells. I win. More shells. Through .NET, of course, because none of them are actually stopping or blocking .NET. They rely on the default Internet Explorer security policy, which says if you accept the little box that pops up regarding launching this .NET application, it's safe to launch it. What about? Oh my God. What about some emo kiosking? Can we crash this kiosk? So let's try this. I read this tool called the Automatic Flash Fuzzer, which basically exploits a whole bunch of my Flash exploits. Bang, bang, bang. There you go, and we're back to Windows. It then respawns, however, but you can see the nice little race condition where it took about 3 or 4 seconds for it to detect that it had crashed and then respawned. And in that time, I click Start, and now I've got cmd.exe again. So that was like 4 different ways in what? A minute? 2 minutes? Game over. Kiosk is not secure. So let's pause this one. And let's move on. Next kiosk, Site Kiosk version 7. This is by a company called Provisio. This company takes security really seriously. Reception.sitekiosk.net was the most prolific user of iKAT version 1. That dude spent hours and hours and hours testing their software against my tool. And they fixed all the bugs. And then I spent a good 3 weeks finding more bugs so I could re-exploit version 7. Now, what I found they did, this is the really smart thing, was that they implemented native Windows ACLs to try and stop me. They said, well, look, a blacklist approach and a software approach really doesn't work here. We need to go lower and just stop this guy at the operating system. So they implemented the equivalent of a UMask in Linux, or in the Unix world. Who here doesn't know what a UMask is? Okay, I'll explain it anyway. So UMask basically says, any file created by this user can't do something. So they said, any file created by the kiosk user cannot be executed. So you can download files, you can rummage through the file system, but you'll never be able to execute a process. They then went through all of the Windows executables and files and basically marked them as non-executable for the kiosk user. So I can't use cmd.exe, and if I download it, I can't run my own version. Then they were really sneaky and set in their default config file that the iKAT URL was hidden and blocked. This is ikat.ha.ckd.net. So, let's hack that. That's going to take a couple minutes. Come on. So who here has actually ever hacked a kiosk? I always ask this. I meet kiosk hackers. Oh, yeah, go down the front row. Right. It's good fun, right? iKAT rocks. What? Oh, cool. Thanks, man. Are you using version 2 or version 1 or? All right, still going. So I've got submitted maybe 20, maybe 25. I'm looking through my logs. I'm finding maybe 15, 20 kiosks a day, which is quite a few kiosks. I didn't even know there were that many kiosks out there. Alrighty, come on. Okay, Site Kiosk. Interestingly enough, the Site Kiosk user password is always Provisio. That's always a bad start. Alrighty. Okay, so we're going to run up Site Kiosk. Register. So I have to hack this within 2 minutes, or the registration dialog is going to pop up. I'm sure I can do it. This kiosk is particularly quite heavy because they have so many security restrictions. They really sort of went overboard in trying to stop. Come on.